Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. I feel like we've tackled a little bit with handling defeat because I do feel like that goes a lot back to culture. But you've had your tough seasons. You've had seasons with more outward success and wins. But even though you and I both know that's not really how you measure success, but it is important, especially if we're trying to pursue excellence. I think winning is in there. If we're not trying to put a plan together that helps our players win, what are we doing? But obviously it's more. When those defeats do happen, how do you handle that with your team after the game in the locker room, the next day? How do you handle it?
Well, this day and age, man, like I said, number one thing is obvious stuff I see, we talk about. Any obvious stat, like I know we gave up too many rebounds, offensive board. I can't, that's probably a toughness issue or effort issue. But I don't really get into player stuff until I watch the film. They know that. I said, we're going to talk about what we didn't do. This game's up. We got to move on. And the last thing I tell them, man, is I don't know what you're going home to, but just know I love you. And that's our final say on it, because you know as well as I do. Somebody's dad thinks the NBA is going to pick them up tomorrow. And I just, you know what I mean? And the kid, the parents I've learned are not always mad at the coach. They're mad at their kid for messing up, but he's a kid. He's gonna mess up. And we should be giving him, what's your bounce back? I need to see your bounce back. And that's what we said. What is your bounce back? Because that's what, and I got this moniker, push through, and a lot of people say, oh yeah, we all need to push through. I said, you have no idea I have to explain to them, push through is about when things are going really well and you get lax and you don't focus. You have to push through the good times as well as the bad. You have to persevere all the time. Because I can tell you, I score 30 and I might score 2 the next day because I think I have arrived versus staying even keel. Just staying neutral, as they say. That's what's important. And push through is about staying neutral.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't ride that road. We lost. We also won some games we probably shouldn't have won. So why is tonight the end of it as well? When we look at the stats, we gave up 13 offensive boards and still won by 1 point at the buzzer. We really shouldn't have won that game. So on what's, I'm more, you're responsible for one thing here, your effort. That's it. Your effort. The rest of it, we don't really have control over.
Man, sorry, go ahead.
No, your effort, my effort against a dominant athlete is a moot point. But my effort still matters because I'm going to fight, scratch, claw. I'm going to do it. You're going to see that I'm giving it all I got. And that's all that matters.
A couple great points there. I think one is the not getting too emotional or personal right after a game, because even coach, I was talking to Coach Drew, and he mentioned how he handles right after games. And he said, what I think I saw might not have been what I actually saw.
Yeah.
And there may be a couple moments or points that are just so strong that you're forgetting a lot of maybe good that was done. And what you can do is, and I know I've had a few of these post-game talks over the years that, golly, I wish I could go back and change it. That phrase went out, and God, can I pull that back? Yeah. But you can at that point. And you have to work that much harder to repair any of the damage or the lost trust that you had from that. So I think that's really good. Is that something that, and another question I get for you is that something you grew into, or have you always kind of had that idea, or do you have in your past some nice 20, 30-minute talks after games?
I don't, I had to grow into it for sure, because the way I coached as an assistant was totally different than the way I coached as a head coach. And honestly, part of the lapse in that was going from assistant coach to head coach. It was a mind shift that I wasn't aware of in a lot of places. So as an assistant coach, I can have fire all the time. The head coach, he can finish with like I finish now, but I would rip it up, baby. Like, we got it.
Your head coach is like,
yeah.
well,
And he's like,
I love
yeah,
you.
he's letting me go. So I'm like, all right. And so, but then when I became the head coach, and I try not to, I'm a passionate, fiery person to coach. And I had to learn that takes a toll on a young player. Because to me, I'm still Gerald Sledge, assistant coach or head coach. To that kid, I am the end all be all to his basketball future. And if I coach him hard, he doesn't understand hard coaching from criticism or hate. Yeah. And I watch kids like feel, and I lucky enough I caught it early. It's like a kid melts. I said, what's wrong? Like he said, thinks you don't like him because of, I said, oh my. So I had to follow that up. And so I basically quit coaching younger kids a certain way and deal with varsity kids different. But by the time they're varsity kids, I've had time to work on that relationship piece, and now I can be that. And so I had to learn that.
That awareness is huge. It's huge.
It's tremendous. And I didn't know it. Like, to me, I'm coach, just coach. Whatever level, I'm just coach. And so I learned that. And so that's kind of, I had to be more aware of what I'm saying to people. And like I said, if I'm teaching you to be smart, that means, or as a ball player, I'm teaching you some reads. I can't knock your read. That means there's going to be some mistakes in growth. Yeah. Like, you made a cut, you probably shouldn't have cut. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to do, you didn't just blatantly do some things. Or there's a time like the angles are bad, and where we stand, the ref's in your way half the time, and then you get in trouble for getting out the box. So, like, bro, you find somewhere else to stand.
I wouldn't get out of the box if you weren't standing directly in front of me.
Like, I'm trying to see, I got a coach. And so,
I don't think they care. I don't think they care.
No, they don't.
A good point that you said too about sometimes, I mean, obviously we know we win some games that we should have lost and we lose some games we should have won. I think a part of the culture piece that has to come into play with directly after a game is that we start to divide, like or take away from what actually happened in the game with what our players' intentions were. What I mean by that is, like, we can beat a team but not give great effort. If we're superior, we can lose to a team that's superior, but our effort was great. So we detach. That was a better word. Yeah. Detach the meaning behind the win and loss, but more like Gaina Baker says, the try or the intention. And an example for me is this last year, a great group of seniors, a team that I felt like embraced what we're all about. And we were in a tournament playing a team that I think if we play them 9 times or 10 times, we beat them 9 out of 10. In that game, Coach, we were 6 for 44 from 3. Not great. We got 30 more shots than them. We had more offensive rebounds, and we turned it over less. Like, all of that should equal a win. We lost by 3. So at the end of the day, they're doing exactly what I want. We executed properly. Coach, we just shot poorly. So for me, the competitor or the fire is we losing is never acceptable. But you know what? Like, it's going to happen sometimes. And I think what we can do is come around them in those moments, build up our culture even more, build up trust. And we want players that'll run through a brick wall. I think we take care of them in those moments instead of, like you said, being hard all the time. I think there has to be that give and take.
Yeah, it does. Definitely, man. Like it is, I don't know. I've just really gotten to the point where like I'm observing them, watching them away from the court to see how they're growing. So now I can help them on the court. Like, all right, you know what? You're taking care of your business in the class. That means you care a little more. Like just, and so when the games come, like yesterday, open gym, I got a guy, he gets flat out score. Young kid. He can score. He missed all his first shots. He kept shooting. He hit all his back end shots of the day. And this morning I was like, hey man, how'd you play yesterday? Not very good. I said, you shot 50%. He looked at me. I said, yeah. I said, that's what I've been trying to tell you. I said, you're a 50% shooter when you take chances. I said, when you give up on yourself, you're a lower percentage shooter because you think you're going to miss all day. Some people just have a talent, and you have a talent, and you're a 50% shooter. You got to just be a 50% shooter. Now, that 50 may be 25 straight misses and 25 straight makes.
Yeah.
But you're a 50% shooter. And that's who he is. And he's going to be, but you just have to like keep giving that confidence in bad times. Like we shot less than 60% at the free throw line last year. 120 games and made the playoffs. So I'm like, that's a record in itself. Because you know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? Yeah. The year before we shot bad at free, and we work. It's something we no amount of shots. It's just guys that break away from their routine when they get to the line. They can do it. Their angst, all that stuff. So, and we win games shooting bad. So I harp more on that than I did actually winning the game. Like this will not fly when it's playoff time. You've got to close this gap. This is the problem, not winning the game. You can win. You know, you miss layups and free. And I guess that's what most of the time I look at. How many shots we missed? We didn't shoot it well from three. How are we missing from three? Yeah. I tell you, we lost North Crowley. We made 2 threes all night, shot 27 of them. And I'll take 20 of those 27 shots because the ball saw both sides of the court. It got hit on a drift. It got hit or one more. We just missed shots. Mm-hmm. And you lose by 8. I take that all day.
Yeah, tip your hat.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You did what you had to do. You know, we turned it over a bit much, but at the end of the night, games like that, you talk about the statistical problems and worry about fixing them tomorrow and tell them you love them.
I think what we help them do is to not be outcome-based, purely outcome-based, but more process. Like our goal every night, every day, fellas, is to try to get 1% better. Let's be a little bit better than we were yesterday. And there's going to be days where we achieve that. There's going to be days where we don't. But if it's only about wins and losses, then I think we miss a large part of the process. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.